order. Jimmy, do the honor. Please stand.
Stand, please. Most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege to be assembled here this evening. Thank you that we come together to do the business of this, your city, for these, your people. Thank you for all that are here. Be with those that are not able to be with us for whatever reason. Be with the lost and the sick. Heal each according to your will. May all we say and do be for your glory and for our benefit. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Joey, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bollinger.
Here.
Mr. Fannin. Ms. Graham. Mr. Hatmaker.
Here.
Mayor Stanfield.
Here. Item number 4, approval of the minutes of your November 2013 meeting. What's the pleasure of council?
Move to approve, Mayor.
I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
I have a second by Hansford. Go ahead. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bollinger.
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 5, reports from your boards, committees, your department heads. What's the council's pleasure?
Make a motion we approve.
Motion.
Mayor.
Motion by Hansford. Have a second.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bollinger.
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 6, any comments from the citizens? Charles?
I want to appreciate what the council done and you too, Mayor, on the street over on West Wall. And the main thing around through, about no way you can get in that fire truck, anything, Can't go through the underpass, can't go to 11th Street. But we appreciate you getting it done.
Charles, you're very welcome to that. I just
Thank
wish
you.
I could get it done sooner for you. Is there any announcements? I have one. The Christmas parade will be this Saturday, starting at 6 o'clock up at La Follette Elementary School. They have a safety meeting up at 5 o'clock. If you can make it, please be there. Anything else?
Did you say the elementary school?
Yes. Okay, under administration, this decision regarding the lease parking lot to the post office building to the La Follette Housing Authority. I've talked to John Snolly, and you should have a copy of the lease. John is willing to do his lease for 6 months at $500 a month and have 10 days to vacate if somebody happens to rent the post office from the city of La Follette. So what's the pleasure of the council?
Mayor, one question.
Hmm?
I'll put this in form of a motion just in a second.
Okay.
The parking lot itself, as far as the insurance and the liability, is he taking care of that himself? Or is that going to be an addition cost to the council, city?
Now, Dan,
It's their cost.
Their cost.
Their cost, and I think it's in there, they have the cost of that as well as, right there, they're responsible for retaining liability insurance. Plus they'll hold us harmless for the use of it and all that stuff.
I make a motion, we approve.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second motion, Mayor.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bollinger.
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Under the police department, item number 1, hiring Nora Riggs from a part-time to a full-time officer effective the 12th, 14th, 13th, salary starting at $26,520. What's your pleasure, council?
Mayor, I'll make a motion we hire Mr. Riggs at that effective salary.
I have a motion.
14, 13.
Do I have a motion? Have a second.
I have a question on that. I'd like to see the application on that. I asked for it and I never did get it.
Monty, do you have your?
No, sir. Chief had it, he's on vacation out of town.
Yeah, I asked for it last month and I didn't get it, so. And it's a standard rule. I've always wanted to see an application when we hire somebody.
Yes, sir. I understand, he didn't give it to me, he's on vacation, I come here to do this for him, and I'm not aware of it.
Joey says she has one of the money. Just hang loose. Joey can get one.
Okay.
She has one. She has one. Joey has one.
Okay.
Just
I'll
hang.
second. I'll second.
You second. Have a motion second.
Yes.
Motion carries, okay. Noah, welcome to the police department. Thank you. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, under Public Works, decision regarding the change to the road and traffic light, Toe String Road is $7,200 total cost. Jim, you want to elaborate on that a little bit more? Or?
That will give us 2 left turn lanes, 1 dedicated left turn, coming out of Toe String on the Jacksboro Pike, turning toward Jacksboro. There'll be 1 dedicated, which we now have, but the second one will give the traffic the option to either go straight through on the Independence Lane by CVS or turn left. And it will direct the left-hand lane, when they pull out on the 4-lane, to stay on the inside lane. You know, it's kind of habit, it's easier swing if you go to the outside. But we'll have to stripe it to make sure they stay to the inside. So if the people in the right hand of the 2 lanes is turning too, that, I think it'll help speed that traffic coming off Toe String where bottlenecks so bad.
Right.
I think it'll help speed it up a lot, alleviate a lot of problems.
Right. We have a lady that lives there, just moved in Toe String Village, and she was talking about, she was concerned with the traffic coming out on the 4-lane at Toe String.
Well, if you pull up behind a couple of trucks, hopefully, once this is in place, the trucks will stay in the right-hand lane, the faster traffic cars and pickup and so on use the left-hand lane. And just get more people through that red light at a time. I think it'll help a lot.
Is that a state road, Jim?
Pardon?
State road?
Yes.
Okay, does the red light belong to the city or the state?
The city?
City owns the red light? Well, don't the state reimburse us for them?
No. If you remember, we got that grant, putting these new red lights up, the city had to do it.
So you're saying it's cost $7,200 to change the red light?
Right? They have to put up new lights to meet, even though the city owns the lights, we still have to follow state guidelines. Because it is a state highway. So if we change them, it's up to us to change them, but we have to meet their guidelines to change anything. Now the lights are gonna have to be replaced. The wiring, the control wires in the pavement have to
Are
be
you changing
redone.
one light or are you changing them all?
They're changing them all. Though, just the ones coming out on Toe String.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing,
They'll actually, you've got 2 now. Those will come down and they'll go back with 3. So there will be 3 lights there instead of 2. But they've got to put up new heads, they call them, and change the wiring in the asphalt to accommodate this new traffic flow. Then it will have to be striped, of course. So,
Will we stripe them, Jim, or will they stripe it?
they're supposed to stripe it.
Okay.
Well, I'll throw this out. We're still waiting on striping on this other pavement, and the weather's been, you can't stripe and it wet. If we have to, we can temporary stripe it till they get in there, till they get the right weather to do it the way it should be done. If they get the lights working, then we can take a sweeper and a heater and sweep and heat it enough to get it, temporary. So we will do that if we have to, which just involves some man hours and 3 gallon of paint.
Well, do you think it's gonna benefit the traffic, for $7,200 to do this?
Well, that has always been a bottleneck. And, with the businesses out there, the traffic, I think, is just gonna increase. That area is growing, you know. So I believe it's gonna become a bigger problem than what it is now.
If you get 2 or 3 tractor trailer rigs sitting there waiting for that light to change, and you got about 5 or 6 cars behind you, you might get 2 tractor trailer rigs through it by the time you go through all your gears, and the light's done changed, you're still sitting there for another light.
Right. This should help alleviate that. I'm not gonna say it solves all the problems, but it'll definitely help. So, that's your decision whether it's worth $7,200 or not.
Mayor, I really think that it is. I've been caught there a few times, getting out myself behind the line of traffic. I make a motion that we spend the $7,200 to upgrade that intersection.
Correct. Have a motion, second, call the roll.
Mr. Bellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker?
No.
Motion carries. Item number 2, decision regarding the change in timing on the red lights. Jim?
We talked about that, you know, at the workshop. And, you're really opening a big can of worms. You're gonna look at the timing on these red lights because they're all synchronized, computer controlled. It's not as simple as going in the box and changing the timer like it was on the old lights. It's very involved and expensive. You know, we talked about it, I had them price changing the timing on one light.
Yeah.
Wasn't it $6,000?
$6,000, yeah.
So, I don't think we need to mess with it.
Do you think T-Dot would help us, Jim, on these lights if we got somebody here, manager or somebody here?
They say they're our lights, even though it's a state highway, they're city-owned lights.
Well, that deal on those lights, didn't the state buy them and give them to the city?
They came through a grant.
We paid part of it?
Best I remember, that took place about the time I came here.
Right. I
I
forgot.
believe it was 80-20 match but we did have a grant for those lights.
Yeah. We have to maintain them.
Yeah,
If a bug burns out, we have to replace it.
right.
Okay.
One gets hit and have to replace the head, that's up to us. But,
I remember it. You're right, Jim, that's about time I got with city council and you got public work director. All right, you've heard your recommendations from Mr. Mullins, what's the decision of council?
Mayor, I think we ought to follow Jim's recommendation, just kind of let it go for now, and if we need to do something later on, we can revisit it.
Can I have a motion by Joe? Have a second.
Do we need a motion on that?
I don't think you.
Not needed?
No, not to, if you're not gonna do anything, you don't need.
Okay. Okay. Okay, under Recreation Department, item number 1, decision regarding the skate park. Joe, you want it on there, so.
Yes, I did, Mayor. I think it was, a couple months ago, we voted to pull the skate park out to reseal the parking lot. We've got a lot of people now skating on sidewalks and shoulders of the road and stuff. They're out around in front of the library. I think we need to reinstall the skate park, either where it was at or locate a new location. It needs to be kind of centrally located. If not, we either need to put one on the west end and one on the east end. And, skateboarding is an Olympic sport now, and a lot of kids are doing it, and some of the grown-ups are doing it also. And I think it's beneficial to have. As long as we got one, I'm good with it. The rest of you can, if you've got something to say on it.
Well, I wish we hadn't removed that until we found another place. I mean, I understand, but since it's in the middle of December, why don't we charge Johnny and Gary, since they're here, and Jim, to find other locations other than this and bring it back to us for our opinion. You've got a month or two to put them back down. Because you're not gonna have a lot of beautiful weather between you and there.
They're still skateboarding out there. In fact, I saw 2 or 3 today.
I know.
Out here, Joe?
No, not out
I've
here.
seen them out here, there's nothing out there, they still use it
Yeah.
blacktop.
They just got accustomed to coming there, and you know, I think we ought to go further and put a more elaborate skate park in it. You know, if you go to some of these other cities, they've got the ones that, you know, they skateboard down into like a bowl type thing.
But the more elaborate you get, the more liability you have.
Right.
I mean, I think, I might be mistaken, but I think Johnny's not here, but he was telling us that the skate park was costing us around $250 a month in insurance. But I agree we need a skate park. If not here, why don't we put it off for a month, let them hunt a location? If not, I just vote to put it back.
All right.
Until we find something.
All right.
Is that all right?
Good.
It's fine. Hey, them kids love it. I mean, I watch them kids over at Bobby, go over and talk
Oh,
to them.
yeah.
I mean,
I've had 10, 15 parents call me,
Yeah.
you know, and they're not calling me as often now because it's getting a little weather, but by spring, it's gonna be, we're gonna have
But
to.
like Joe said, they're skateboarding everywhere. I noticed, maybe a couple of Saturdays ago, there's over at Wingers and Tom's skateboarding, there's over at the post office. And I hate to be the mean guy and run them off, but, you know, the mothers don't want them, you know, and,
But you could appoint those 3 people to bring us a recommendation back. if you want.
yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
You also need to be looking somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000. For some money to,
Closer to about 70, we're gonna have to, yeah,
how much?
about 70.
70,000?
Yeah.
So you need to be trying to find that. That's the biggest catch.
So,
You got that.
we could put the old equipment back where it was.
It's gotta be repaired though.
If that's what y'all wanna do. Depending on, like it's been discussed, depending on weather, how much it'll be used, you know, this time of year, it won't be a big deal. We can get some of this Christmas stuff out of, you know, behind. It won't be a big deal to put it back. If you wanna do that, then by spring, either make it elaborate, you know, update it and so on, or relocate it, whatever you want to do. In the meantime, and give the kids somewhere when it's weather fit.
I think the mayor just.
For you.
I thought you was gonna seal your blacktop before you put it back, Jim.
It's gonna be spring, we'll either be updating it or moving it or whatever. We can't get it done this time of year. And where the skate park was, if you remember, we laid, another layer of asphalt for the skate park. So it's not in bad shape. It wouldn't hurt, you know, since we were already sealing, wouldn't hurt to go ahead and seal it. But it's relatively, especially compared to the rest of the parking lot.
Doesn't even,
It's
I didn't
relatively
even decide
new.
where it needed sealing, did you?
Not really.
So whatever y'all wanna do, that's the options, you know. You'll go ahead and put it back here in 2 or 3 weeks.
Jim, I don't believe many kids are gonna use it this winter. I just start looking right now, find us a place to put it. Let's start.
Okay.
You all make a recommendation next workshop if you found a better place.
It's just if you wanna, you know, like Joe said, if you want one central location, or if you wanna move it to the west end and
Well,
build 2 parks, or that's,
We need to bring a place where we can watch it.
Bring us both options.
2 and 1.
back here is gonna be cheaper, I can tell you that right quick.
Oh, yes.
A whole lot. The other 2 locations that have been mentioned while we're into it is, one of the, half of the, tennis court, using half of it. The other option is that has been discussed, is in the curve where the playground equipment used to be for the Western Valley School. That will be the most expensive. Because you got to grade it, stone it, asphalt it, fence it. Where the tennis courts are, would be the least expensive of those two. And I'm not sure how good that surface is, I've not looked at it from that perspective. But do you want to, I guess one question you need to consider, do you want to spend money on two locations or spend it on one location and have a more elaborate park at a central location?
I'd rather do, my opinion, I'd rather do one.
If you're gonna do that, then you spend your money on equipment instead of a place to put it. I mean, that's just, I'm just throwing out, thinking off the top of my head, throwing out
Well, you've
ideas.
already got a fence and everything around your tennis court over there, so that, you're probably looking at $10,000 right there. Less expensive if you use that area.
True, but it's not as centrally located. That's the only thing there.
And then we'd have more to offer as far as facilities. The less money you spend on,
On a site,
yeah, the
you
side.
have more money to use on equipment. So, it just depends on which way you want to lean now. You want to leave it like, leave it alone for now, or you want to put it back, like it was? Or y'all tell me what you want.
I'm just saying.
I thought you three was gonna come up with a recommendation by next workshop. How's that? I just assume y'all come up with, look around, and we'll be looking too. But there, I don't know of 2 or 3 places we could put this. I mean, I don't know, they may, I don't know of 2 or 3 places.
I only know 2 or 3, and, you know, we've discussed 3 of them. This one, the 2 on the west end, if you're gonna go west, then you're.
Well, there's a place at East too.
Putting one on the east end.
The site back here, the only reason it was moved was so you could reseal it. Is that the only reason?
Well, I think the merchants downtown.
They can find the,
Well, if you put one up there on the tennis court and, you know, someone up there may complain, you know, if they're skateboarding out there on Sunday morning when they're having church there at the Presbyterian Church or over at the First Baptist.
yeah, well, I've had people already play tennis in high school. A lot of those kids there play. They use them. I've had about 4 or 5 call me. And you got these women play like Debbie Shannon and Mrs. Shaw and all our places.
I think we're talking about the tennis court down behind the new library, not the one up on the hill, is that correct?
Yeah, they're using both of
They're
them.
using both of them, Jim, yeah.
They are?
Yeah, schools are using them, yeah.
Okay. But as far as skate park wise, I didn't think the one up in front of the church was a consideration. Am I correct on that or not?
That was, yeah.
That's not a consideration. But the tennis court, isn't there 2 courts in that one down there behind the rec center? Would one court down there and a skate park, would it be feasible to have both of them?
My dad probably the office fuss. You ever heard in your life?
Would it be too crowded?
Yeah. You get a bunch of women playing tennis, a bunch of kids there cussing. But
You'd have to fence it down the
Or
middle.
the other way around.
Could be.
You'd have to
Be like me and
fence
Andrew.
fence it down the middle, definitely. So,
Yeah. Why don't you just pick us up, a good location. Everybody can kind of agree on it.
okay.
Okay, under ordinance and resolution, let me mention just what I'm going to ordinance resolution. Gary sent a memo out to the council. He's wanting to hire 2 auxiliary firefighters. Gary, I got no problem with it. I don't think the council does. So you do what you want to.
I think we talked about it last meeting. and,
Yeah. It's short, he's got the money for it, so.
For the program that the firefighters are gonna do, we're gonna have 4 or 5 additionals, correct? And it's gonna cut back on the overtime. The auxiliary is gonna save us, actually save us money, right, Gary?
Yeah.
There ain't none of us at Stanfield or Hatmaker, or you're concerned? All right. Okay, under ordinance and resolutions, item number 1, resolutions 2013-09. Resolution for engineering service for the CDBG grant program. What's the pleasure, council?
Who make a motion to approve the 2013-09?
I have a motion by Bob, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Hanson, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bellinger?
I'd like to state that I have a conflict. I work for Apollo Utilities, and I think this is going towards sewer rehab. I vote yes.
Mr. Fainan?
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 2, resolutions 2013-10, resolution for administrative service for the CDBG program. What's the pleasure, council?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2013-10.
I have a motion by Bob, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Hanson, call the roll.
Mr. Bellinger?
Again, I have a conflict. I work for Apollo Utilities. I vote yes.
Mr. Fainan?
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 3, resolutions 2013-11, 2013-2014, and budget amendment. What's the pleasure, council?
Make a motion on resolution 213-7, 2013-2014, amended to the budget.
I have a motion by Hanson, have a second.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Bellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fainan?
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Did we talk about David?
No, Dave, we're going to David. Dave, you want to come on up?
Yeah, okay. I was here at the workshop on the 25th, and we went over some prices for the insurance renewal. We agreed upon looking at the same plan we have now, same deductibles, same out-of-pocket, but the S network. It was about 1%, I don't have those numbers in front of me, it was about 1% less than the current policy. And I expected to get some credit on it, which I had talked about briefly. Blue Cross implied that I could get maybe as much as 4% credit on the rates that I had in my hand at the time if we didn't price this account. So we complied, we didn't price the account, we made our decision, and I expected to get some credit. So I called Blue Cross with our decision the next day, and I was told we would get no credit, that they just had run out of money. And it kind of upset me, and I'm sure it would have upset some of you guys, but it was, after all, it was Tuesday evening, and we had Thanksgiving vacation coming up, and there's nothing I could do about it until yesterday. So I got to talk to the mayor about it yesterday, and we both decided we weren't happy with it, and we probably needed to contact Blue Cross and just air this thing out. So I did. I wrote an email last night. I had to rewrite it 2 or 3 times to take the bad words out and things like that. But I just told them that we felt like we'd been misled. And this morning I had an answer to it saying, you know, with an apology, and that there was no more money available, but they would work on it, and they would let me know something tonight. So about 30 minutes before I got here tonight, I did get some relief. Apparently some of the Blue Cross groups that had been given credit moved to another company, so that supposedly some of that money was available. But in short, we were offered a 2.25% credit on these rates. So the paper that I've handed out to you I've marked off the right end. I didn't adjust any of these numbers except column 318. Column 318 is the S Network price, the new S Network price, which is 3.06% under our current premium. 3%, well, we were at about 78,000, so 3% is, I think we figured about, or the extra 2.25% is about a $20,000 discount we got out of them. So it's not what I wanted, but it's better than nothing. And other than that, I don't really have any new news tonight. I am working on getting a list of our employees who have used P Network and S Network doctors to show who's being used that would be in one and not in the other. And I've got some lists that I can hand out of facilities. I should have those done by tomorrow for everybody to look at. Does any of this change anything from what we've already decided or talked about?
Well, the utilities is accepting the S plan, and if they want to buy up to the P plan, they can. And in addition to that, they're paying 10%. Is that correct?
Right.
I don't think we have any other choice but go with the S plan. And those people who want to buy up to the P plan can contact Joey. You want to do Joey? By December the 20th or 15th, or
Probably as late as we can do it, because the ones who think they might want to buy up, we really need to determine if they do. We need to get the names and the facilities and so forth.
Yes.
And I'm prepared to do that.
and so if we want to buy up, contact Joey by the 15th, or they're in the S plan.
Yeah, and then you can get it to me and I can get in touch with them and just see if they want to move doctors or move their facilities up or not.
Well, I mean, I looked at the networks today, and I had Blue Cross at Niceville today, and we looked at the networks, and we took the S plan, but it's, and we have the option of buying up to the P plan, but the same thing as you all.
Yeah.
But I think with this understanding that, Mayor, you might appoint the board, appoint someone to work with Marlene in the next several months, along with David, to maybe do a real self-insured insurance plan that probably would save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, plus be a lot better insurance. We could mold our own prescription plan, and that's where most of our money's come from, is the prescription plan. We mold our own prescription plan to fit this outfit, and we also mold anything we want to do on this self-insured. And we had tried it one time before, and they failed to put the money back, didn't they, Hansford or something? And we didn't have any monies to pay out. So, but I think this would, with the understanding that next year is going to get a whole lot better if we did a self-insured program.
If you can get the two back together, that'll give you 600 or 700 lives, which is what you need.
They talk to us then.
Yeah, we can hardly do it by ourselves, I don't think, but.
Well, that's what is the reason is that we'd have to work with them.
Yeah, I think we will.
And once we start, we can bring in other, I was told today that we could actually bring in the housing authority if we wanted to. It doesn't have to be the same entity. We could actually bring in the school system or the county. I mean,
You can set them up in just about any way.
as long as the utility does the paperwork, we can.
Right.
Yeah. But what do you think about that? I mean, it's something that, we don't have to do it, we just need to talk about it.
Yeah, I know we've talked up there some about going to the self-insurance, and I don't know if that's going to happen within the next year or two or what, but they have talked about it, so. David, these figures that you're giving us here on this S plan, with what has happened, transpired in this past week, Do you think this is the best deal that we're gonna get?
Yes, I do.
I don't think we'll get any more than that.
Well, I looked at, I went over some figures here with David, before we opened the meeting up, and, on how much it would cost for a single person per pay period, which, to buy up to the Peak Network, which I do over there, and also with the employee and spouse and the family plan and an employee and one child. And these figures are pretty much in line with what the single is for the time I pay my 10% part. We're pretty much right in the same ballpark. I'm probably paying a little bit more than a single employee here would. But, you know, that 10% that I'm paying up front plus the buy-up is what causes that.
The only doctors I saw that did not take the S plan was the Summit doctors. And I have a Summit doctor, you know. But, and also the only hospital that I saw wasn't taking the S plan, and I think this is going to change what I've heard in the last couple of weeks, is Tenova and Knoxville is not taking the S plan. Tenova up here does.
Just
But
another
you
option.
still have, you still have UT, all the Covenants, which is Fort Sanders, Park West, Oak Ridge, and all those. But Tenova is not taking the S plan as of right now.
Well, you know, I've been with doctors, with internal medicine associates, which is the Summit group, for approximately 28 years.
And me too.
And, you know, I just prefer to buy up and stay with them. I think there's only a handful of people, I think, in the utility over there. I don't know about on the electric side, on the water department side, there's only a handful of people that actually buys it.
Well, we have the S plan at the store, and we actually had a husband of an employee was at Emory in Atlanta for 6 months doing cancer therapy, and the S plan paid everything. So, you know, I was really impressed with that. So,
As far as your deductions and all this, if you look at your S plan, your P plan,
They're the
there
same.
ain't no difference in it.
Difference, no.
But when you come down and figure the difference in the price, you're talking about $70.28 more for the P plan per month than the S plan.
Exactly right, yeah. And that's because
of the bigger network.
the bigger network and the people in the P network get paid more than the people in the S network. So they,
Okay, now, I looked at this and you got medical only.
this chart is medical
Just strictly
information only.
medical.
Yes.
Okay, now, is the coverage as far as our dental and the life and the vision and everything, is it still the same?
Yeah, the dental renews same time as the medical does, but it's the same as it was before.
All of it?
All of the dental is.
Yeah,
The
okay,
life-
what about the life?
Life and disability doesn't renew until July 1, so we don't have to deal with it at this time.
If we still got 20,000 on each person,
Yeah, 25,000.
25,000 on each person?
5,000 on dependents if they want to buy it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know, I hadn't heard nobody say anything about
I'm
that.
thinking about bumping the offers.
Don't tell Bob, he didn't cut it down, save money.
David,
Yes.
the question I know I'm gonna get asked by my people, and this may not happen, but it's a scenario, I know I'm gonna get this question. Assume a person has a, man his life, and they elect to buy up. If 2 months, 3 months down the road, these other people, Tenova and Knox County, for instance, decides they will accept S Network, or some of these other doctors, is it possible to drop that where you bought up
Normally, normally it's not. Normally, you choose your network for 1 year. But if there's a major change, like Tenova Knox moves into the network, they would probably make an exception. We've seen that with other companies other times, that a major change and shake-up in a network will be addressed with the employees. But normally it is not, no.
I know I'm gonna get that question.
Yeah,
But what they told me today, and again, you know, the good old boys,
yeah.
if your physician only takes the P plan and they, somewhere along January, February, March, they took the S plan, you could buy down. That's what they told us. That's what they told our group today.
Well, if that's,
That's what they told us. It doesn't mean that's what they're gonna tell you.
yeah, that's not what that's not what I've.
It's normally, if you buy in for the
You buy in
year.
for a year is what I've always been told, but I've only had to deal with it one time, and it was a major shakeup, and we were allowed to make changes. So, I think the scenario you suggested would probably get some attention, enough attention to make changes.
Well, you're looking at $13,000 a month difference in the 13,000.
That's how
That's a
many
saving of
dollars.
about 130,000, 145,000.
That's what I was, yeah. I don't know.
David, can we get a list of doctors and hospitals so we can tell?
Well,
them
I'm
all this?
working on getting, they don't put out a big manual anymore that thick with everybody in it. You have to do a search, but I can search by county and by type of facility. And I've done several searches that I'm going to consolidate and bring down here and leave. Mostly for Campbell, Anderson, Knox, Claiborne County. And I've got some other information here that I just got along with the new information tonight that shows actual visits by our employees to their doctors, and if they had been in the S network, whether their doctor would have been available to them. And there's only most of these doctors I don't even know. There's only a handful of them that are even local. Yeah, you can look at that. You can have it if you want it.
Well, I can tell you.
Riggs Drug is in there, by the way.
If that list will become available,
Is
that'll help.
was that one of the no's?
Yeah, it's a mistake.
I know all of them.
It's on the last page, it's a mistake. There's got to be a mistake. Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, the S plan under Medicare is a zero premium, and a lot of people is going to the S plan, and Tenova takes the Medicare. I don't understand.
Well, they have that new Network E, I guess, for is that the Medicare
Yeah.
network? The Medicare network is different for their advantage.
And I was surprised I thought the S plan would be the S plan everywhere.
No, it's not.
So,
But it is for commercial groups. I mean, that's just depends on where you are, and we happen to be close enough to Knoxville where a lot of people do like to go to the Summit Medical Group or the.
now the Summit bought themselves. I don't know if y'all know this, because Rick Manning's on there, he's my physician, and when I go, because he used to be a pharmacist and he used to work for me, so he's my physician. But they bought themselves in Hawes, and they bought, there's about 60, 40, 50 physicians bought themselves, so they're looking at taking more. Right now, they're taking Health Springs and Humana and Medicare, and all private, but they don't take, the only thing they don't take Blue Cross has.
That's true. Yeah, that's about the only one I'm aware of. Only one I've
But
ever
they're
heard of.
rethinking this situation since they're paying their own bills now.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not saying they're going to, but he told me they're voting on it December 20th or something.
Well, they probably know, they probably already have been offered whatever they're going to be offered. There's so much news going around about what new payments plans are going to be in the S network that I've been told anything from, 100 doctors will leave, or maybe 1,000 will leave, or who knows. But if they're already working on it, they probably already have a firm price on their S network agreement. I wish they would. It would make it a lot easier.
Yes, it would.
What do we need to do?
Nothing, I just wanted to tell you what had gone on since last meeting, and I'll have some documentation on
I'd go
differences.
ahead and get all you can, but I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to accept the renewal on the S plan and allow any employee to buy up to the P plan that they want to by December, the end of the day, December 15th.
Okay, and I'll have information here and prices, exact prices on what it costs.
So that's, I'm gonna put that in a formal motion.
I have a second, call roll, please.
Mr. Bellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fainan?
Yes.
Mr. Hatmaker?
Yes.
Motion carries. David, you didn't tell them what I told you last night, did you? Exact words? No?
I cleaned the letter up real good.
Oh, yeah?
I would like you, if they hadn't come down to something, we should shop.
Yeah.
And United Healthcare is looking.
That's like I told David last night, Bob, I sign a check every month for quite a bit of money. We've never had a check returned on insufficient funds, so.
Well, it's not like that, you've done it for years.
I'm like you. We could list.
I think we have a Blue Cross agent that comes from Medicare and he has a
Right.
list of books. I'll ask you to bring 10 or 12 books and y'all share them, okay? And you pick them up.
So you have the.
We'll bring them down here
network
to
books.
the thing and let them look at it, yeah. I mean, there's some that's added and there's some that's gone. But there's, I don't know one in town, other than Dr. Ashman, Dr. Bordeaux, that doesn't take it. That's the only two I know of that doesn't take it.
Those are, we can just see, you can see how it works. And some of
Council,
them
have
are
anything
obviously
further?
mistakes or. Do what?
Thanks, Dave. Do you have anything? Answer, do you have anything? Anything you want to say for close? Bob?
Just that if you get the meeting, maybe Joe can work with Marlene, I'll be happy to. Let's see if we can get let's see what it takes to get a self-insured. Not an not a health savings account, those are, I don't like those. But an actual self-insured policy where it pays from day one.
Yeah. You're talking about like we have up there now. Actually, I use mine quite a bit this past year for shoulder surgery.
It's the same
and it worked out real well. For me,
But it's similar, but we'll pay our money into anything over X amount, let's say 20,000. Insurance will pay up to, then we'll pay it, instead of paying them, we put it in an account. And if you have 2 or 3 healthy years, you save hundreds of thousands of dollars.
and in the meantime, it causes people to be also,
Absolutely.
it's for their own good, it saves them.
But I really think we need better insurance. I think we're on the brink of this. I think Obamacare is going to tweak and twin and everything, but I think eventually it has to save some premiums. But, I would think if they're offering it for $500 and Blue Cross is offering it for $1,000, somebody's going to get smart enough to buy it at $500.
This motion's adjourned.
Call the roll.
Chairman Bellinger?
Here.
Mr. Fainan?
Here.
Ms. Graham? Mr. Hatmaker?
Here.
Mayor Stanfield?
Here.
Oh, there have been no new permits, no other business. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made, Joe.